You have heard that Jesus is just a prophet in Islam. Now what if I told you that there is a singular grammatical error in the Quran that we have today in Arabic that tells us that Jesus is a little more than a prophet? Before we get to the verse, let's go over some hadiths just to show you context. In Sunan and Nasa'i 3773, the Prophet was confronted by a Jew for committing shirk by joining his will with the conjunction wal or wah, the Arabic word for and. It was narrated from Abdullah bin Yasar, from Qatayla, a woman from Juhayna, that a Jew came to the Prophet and said, "You are setting up rivals to Allah and associating others with him. You say, whatever Allah wills and you will, and you say, by the Kaaba." So the Prophet commanded them, if they wanted to swear an oath, to say, by the Lord of the Kaaba, and to say, whatever Allah wills, then what you will. The Prophet was told he was associating others with Allah by joining Allah with himself, by using the word, and, the Prophet corrected himself and told the Muslims to not say, and, after Allah but to say, thumma, the word for then in Arabic since it implies difference and sequence as opposed to and which implies partnership or equality. The Prophet would then tell the Muslims never to say, and, after Allah because it implied equality and joined Allah with whatever is placed after. For instance we have in Sunan and Nasa'i 3279, that the Prophet even called a Muslim a bad speaker for using the dual form or the conjunction wal. It was narrated that Adi bin Hatim said, two men recited a tashahhud before the Prophet and one of them said, whoever obeys Allah and his messenger has been guided aright and whoever disobeys them has gone astray. The messenger of Allah said, what a bad speaker you are. You see here Muhammad correcting some Muslims committing shirk by using the dual form after with the Allah and his messenger. We are even told by Muhammad that no Muslim should use the word, and, after Allah, but they should use the word then, just like how we saw in the first hadith, where the Prophet was called out for committing shirk. In Major Sunan of An-Nasa'i 10755, Hudhayfa, may Allah be pleased with him, reported that the Messenger of Allah, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, said, do not say, what Allah wills and what so-and-so wills, rather say, what Allah wills then what so-and-so wills. You see here when the hadith states, what Allah wills then what so-and-so wills. It is saying that this is what Muhammad said that the Muslims should use then as opposed to and because of the conjunction issues. Al-Khattabi even commentated on the hadith stating, Al-Khattabi said, the Prophet has guided you to correct behavior in putting the will of Allah before the will of others. He chose, then, thumma, which implies sequence and deference as opposed to, and, wa, which implies partnership. You see here Al-Khattabi told us that the Prophet has definitely warned us about using the dual form, and, with Allah because it implies shirk. We are even told that Abu Sulayman disliked how Muslims would join Allah with the Prophet by saying the word, and. Abu Sulayman said, he disliked the two names being joined together in that way because it implies equality. Iyad, Kitab ash-Shifa by Tarif Hukuk al-Mustafa, Healing by the Recognition of the Rights of the Chosen One, translated by Aisha Abdurrahman Bewley, Medina Press. He coupled his name with his own name, and his pleasure with his pleasure. He made him one of the two pillars of Tawhid. Ibid, page 27. Ibn Abbas said, written on the door of the garden is, I am Allah. There is no God but me. Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. I will not punish anyone who says that. Ibid, page 90. Now we get a clear understanding that this is shirk and Muhammad said no Muslim should do this. But why am I bringing all this up? Well, in Quran 9:31 Allah uses the dual form that Muhammad used when he was fired by a Jew saying you are associating others with Allah when you say, and, the same word that Muhammad called a Muslim a bad speaker for saying. The same word that Muhammad told all the Muslims not to say with Allah because it implies shirk. The same word that Al-Khattabi said Muhammad corrected us on to not say but to say then, which doesn't imply equality but difference. In Quran 9:31. They took their rabbis and their monks lords besides Allah and the Messiah son of Mary, and they were not commanded except to worship God one, there is no God except him, glory be to him above what they associate. When the Quran says, they took their rabbis and their monks lords besides Allah and the Messiah. Allah is correcting the Jews on taking their rabbis and monks as lords besides Allah and the Messiah. The Arabic word they used for and was the same word that implies equality. According to Muhammad in the hadiths he was confronted by a Jew for committing shirk when using the same word as Allah used in 9:31 after Allah. According to Muhammad, Allah would be committing shirk. Allah would be a bad speaker. According to Al-Khattabi and Abu Sulayman Allah committed shirk. Allah used the dual form joining himself with the Messiah. Why did Allah use the dual form with the Messiah after himself joining himself with the Messiah as lords? Is it because he is a bad speaker?